I need to tell you something about the voice you lost. It's still there, waiting, quieter now, maybe more careful, but intact beneath all the years of shh, not now, and that's too much. I'm Judi Bommarito, and this is healing card number 15, Reclaiming Your Voice. But before we talk about finding it, we need to talk about how it got buried. There's an archaeology to science, layers of it, built up over time. The first layer forms early, maybe the first time your excitement was met with exhaustion, your curiosity with irritation, your pain with you're being too sensitive. When you grow up with a parent whose mind is occupied by voices that aren't real, your very real voice becomes complicated. Do you add to the noise? Do you compete with the chaos? Do you learn to read the room and speak only when it's safe? I learned to fold my words the way I folded my body, smaller, quieter, taking up less space. The house was already so full of sound that it didn't make sense. My job was not to add confusion to confusion. But here's what happened in all that careful monitoring of my words. I forgot that I had thoughts that were worth sharing. I became so skilled at reading what others could handle that I lost track of what I actually wanted to say. Your voice doesn't disappear when it's not welcome. It goes underground. It writes itself in journals you hide, sings itself in the car when you're alone, speaks itself to the mirror when no one else is listening. This full moon energy is merciless with hidden things. It won't let you pretend anymore that your silence is just politeness, that your people-pleasing is just kindness, that your voice doesn't matter when it clearly does. I want to share something with you. Words I wrote to myself when I first realized what I'd lost. Dear voice that I buried beneath years of yes when I meant no, beneath decades of speaking around the truth instead of through it, beneath a lifetime of monitoring whether my words would be welcome, I'm sorry. I taught you that you were dangerous. I'm sorry I made you responsible for everyone else's comfort. I'm sorry I convinced you that love meant staying quiet. That apology changed everything. Because you can't reclaim something until you acknowledge that it was taken. You can't heal what you won't feel. My breakthrough came in the most ordinary moment. Someone asked me what I wanted for dinner, and I realized I didn't know. Not because I wasn't hungry, but because I spent so many years calculating what everyone else wanted that I lost touch with my own preferences. That night, I sat with pen and paper and asked myself the simplest questions. What do I actually like? What do I think about things when I'm not trying to please anyone? What would I say if I knew it wouldn't hurt anyone's feelings? The answers surprised me. I had opinions, strong ones. I had preferences that had nothing to do with making others comfortable. I had thoughts that deserved to be heard, needs that deserved to be expressed, truth that deserved to be spoken. But knowing your voice exists and trusting it enough to use it, those are very different things. I started with the safest person I knew, myself. Every morning I asked 3 questions. How am I feeling? What do I need? What's one truth I've been avoiding? Not to share with anyone else, just to practice remembering that I had inner opinions worth noting. Here's what I invite you to try. Not because it's easy, but because your voice is worth the effort. Find one person who has earned the right to hear your truth. Maybe it's a friend who asks real questions and waits for real answers. Maybe it's a therapist who creates space for whatever comes up. Maybe it's someone who loves you enough to handle disagreement. Practice saying one thing you mean, not a performance of what they want to hear, not a version edited for their comfort, but something true from the place where your authentic self lives. Notice what happens in your body when you speak from that place. Notice if the world ends when you express real preference. Notice if love disappears when you disagree. Notice if relationship deepens when you stop protecting others from your humanity. Your voice isn't dangerous. It never was, but it is powerful. And power that's been suppressed takes time to trust again. Every time you speak authentically, you create an echo, not just for yourself, but for everyone who's been waiting for permission to be real. Your voice gives other voices permission to emerge. When I finally started expressing my actual thoughts, something unexpected happened. The people who truly loved me didn't leave. They moved closer. They said things like, "I was wondering what you really thought," and "I've been waiting for you to tell me what you needed." The ones who had a problem with my voice, they were the ones who had been benefiting from my silence. This is how cycles break. This is how families heal. This is how the children who learn to disappear grow up and teach their own children that it's safe to be seen, safe to speak, safe to take up space with words that matter. Your reclaimed voice isn't just for you. It's for every generation that learned to swallow their words and every generation that comes after you who will inherit the freedom to speak. I can't give you back the voice that was silenced, but I can remind you that it's still there, still yours, still waiting for you to remember its worth. Start small if you need to. A preference expressed, a feeling named, a boundary stated, a truth spoken to someone safe. Your voice matters, not because of what it says, but because it's yours. Because the child who learned to stay quiet deserved to be heard. Because the thoughts you've been monitoring and managing might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Next week, we're exploring building trust, because once you've found your voice, you need to learn who deserves to hear it. But for now, practice remembering your voice was never the problem. What's one thing you've been wanting to say but haven't? Share in the comments if it feels safe. Let your voice take up space here. We're listening. Until next time, remember, the world needs what you have to say. It always has. Take good care.